Still getting my Zoom chops together.
Yep, you got it. I see it recording.
Okay, you see recording. All right, so welcome to the Dream Legacy FX Information Session, and this is truly meant to be a sharing of what Dream Legacy FX is and kind of the genesis of it. How did we evolve from what we've been doing in 2020 to now what this thing is that has been branded Dream Legacy FX. And it's open, it's question and answer. Even though there's like Michael and James, you're on the call, there's some things that you guys are involved, so you know what this is about. But I've actually updated the slides, so there might be some new things in there that you haven't seen before. But without further ado, since we are recording, let's get going. So Dream Legacy FX is a project that is near and dear to my heart. Over the whole of 2020, I did a deep dive into Forex investing and specifically into finding a way to automate Forex, the process of Forex investing, and to leverage the principle of compounding, which is something else that I've been very deeply exploring, and that I learned and appreciated more in the last year. So we're going to talk a lot about compounding, and also show you the model that is Dream Legacy FX, which has been put together as a solution for how to do compounding to grow your wealth. So let me just start there. Most of you, if not all of you, know me quite well. I know Will knows me a long time, Michael knows me, but just a really short story on me is, I'm David Allen Sievers, and for the last 40 years or so, I've been in technology. I spent my life in technology, like me and Will Kwan were talking about. We go back to 1997. I joined Goldman Sachs in 1996, but I was in technology at least 10 years before that or more. And then in 2015, I transitioned over from Goldman Sachs to Morgan Stanley. So I was at Goldman Sachs for over 19 years, just about almost 20 years, but about 19 years. And then the last 4.5 years at Morgan Stanley. And now I am free. And I'm, as of the end of December, I'm sort of 2019, I left Morgan Stanley, and for all of 2020, I've been effectively unemployed, but I've been focused on building out a strategy that would, that we're going to talk about tonight. Over the last 11 years, really, I've been studying, while I was working, studying online marketing, affiliate marketing, how to make money online, building funnels, all kind of stuff, because I could see the writing on the wall in my own life that even at the point where I was ready to retire, I still wanted to be able to generate income, but I wanted to do it not as an employee trading time for money, but having money work for me. And throughout the last 10, 11 years, while I've had some marginal success as an affiliate marketer, it wasn't enough to really be sustainable for me. And the primary reason for that is that I just didn't have the right product. Like the thing that I was striving to market as an affiliate marketer, you're always looking at other products that other people have created and trying to, be an affiliate of those companies, marketing those products and making, a commission from doing that. And that has been really the thing that has been difficult. But now with Dream Legacy FX, I've effectively created my own product that is something that I'm deeply passionate about, and that is resonating not only with me, but is solving a problem that we all have today, which is having a way to generate income in an environment where businesses are shut down and people are out of work and on government assistance. And it didn't originate because of the whole COVID thing, but as Providence would have it, my whole situation worked out to be where I was able to conceive this idea and put this strategy together at a time when it's desperately needed. So now my focus is on not only putting myself in a position where I have a degree of financial security, but also helping other people to achieve that. Now, Dream Legacy FX is the project that we're going to talk about. And what I realized is going into 2021, that, rather than have like New Year's resolutions, which we all do, and probably some of us, are successful at following through with that, and maybe most of us aren't. Nevertheless, this idea of having themes of, areas of focus or ideas that, my attention was going to be riveted upon is something that occurred to me. And I formulated these 3 themes for 2021, which is really underlying the whole rollout of Dream Legacy FX. Number 1 is invest in yourself, right? We are just in a moment in time where it is so important where we do that, both financially, spiritually, mentally, physically, right? We're in lockdown. We just like things that we have to do to really take care of ourselves. And so investing in yourself is a key theme. The other theme that I have is, put your money to work. Like, I know I've been working for money my whole life, and probably most of you have been doing the same if you're not still doing it. And as I said on the previous slide, the whole idea is to move from being an employee, having to work for money, to being an investor, truly having money work for me. And so I think that this is something that resonates deeply with everyone as well. And the last thing here that I have is harnessing the power of compounding. Because I learned about, I'll say this, it's not that I learned about it, but I deepened my appreciation of compounding over the course of 2020. And having had experience with this, especially from the standpoint of just doing Forex trading, now this has become a centerpiece of everything that I'm doing. And I think, once we get into this a little bit more and just see how powerful compounding is, all of us would appreciate how important it is to have a way to implement this principle in our lives. So these are the 3 themes for 2021. Everything that I plan on talking about and doing and focusing on is revolving around these 3 things. And I hope that in some way, at least one of these resonates with you. Let me just stop here for a second. Any comments, any thoughts about these themes, or, what you framed out for yourself, how you're thinking about 2021?
Hey, Dave, I'll go ahead and make a quick comment. I think the 3 themes are really central to anybody's well-being, and especially their financial well-being. As I've, in my increasing senior years, these things are still important. And my hope is to get deeply involved in all 3 of these themes. They have my family, my close friends in all 3 of these themes, and really give those that I care about, those that I can connect with, an opportunity that has been hard to come by for my 70 plus years. I think this is ideal. I think it's timely. I think it's awesome. And I couldn't be happier to have been introduced to you and Dream Legacy, and looking forward to what unfolds as we move through 2021.
Wow, appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right, so let's, with that, let's move on to the next slide. So I'm sure you all know who this person is, Albert Einstein. And this is a quote that I came across, I don't know, somewhere earlier in 2020, where he said, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world, comparing compound interest to the Taj Mahal and the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx, like these wonders of the world. And he said, he who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Now, on the surface, I kind of understood what he meant, but Albert Einstein is, these words have deeper meaning than what might be discernible on the surface. And for him to, make this quote, it really impacted me. It made me question whether I really understood compound interest. Now, I'm just gonna say this, like what I did understand about it is that if you have a credit card and you don't pay the balance off at the end of the month, the next month, they're gonna charge you interest on the original balance plus interest on the interest that was charged to you for not having paid the prior month. So that I understand that the interest is being compounded, right? You're paying interest on interest. Same thing is true of a mortgage or of a car loan. But these are cases where compounding is kind of working against you, right? It's taking money from you as opposed to in other words, you're paying compound interest, you're not earning it. So when he said he who understands it earns it, I realized that I was not really earning it. And so there was more that I needed to understand. And so what I want to do right now is go to a website that I found, which is this website called the compounddaily.org. And I like this website because it has a daily compound interest calculator. And, a daily compound interest calculator is important because, as we'll see later, in the context of Forex, things are happening on a daily basis. And so this became interesting to me. Now, I've been playing around with this, to a much greater degree than what we're going to discuss on this call. But I came up with basically 3 questions. And my question is, imagine if you had $1,000 and it was possible, okay, to get 2% interest every day on that money. And I figured out that 260 days is a year. And imagine that for whatever reason, we just decided to let to just constantly reinvest. There's nothing happening on the weekends. So the question here is, and this is really a question to, I don't know, Elle, if you're on this call, Will, I know James and Michael have heard me ask this question, but how much money does $1,000 turn into 1 year if you're able to compound it consistently at 2% for a whole year?
I'll guess $1 million.
Okay. I don't know, Elle, if you're on the call, do you have any sense about that? All right. Well, let's see, $1 million. So that's believe it or not. Okay. The answer is you started with 1,000. Your principal grew to 172,000, not $1 million. But believe it or not, $1 million is a better guess than most people have, because most people think it might be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, when in fact it's, you gain 171,000. Now that's at 2%. And so the question is, the next question I said, that's it for 1 year. What if it was 2 years? And I just did this. And when I did that, that's when it came out to this incredibly high number, which is $29 million. If you could consistently compound for a period of 2 years without experiencing a setback, and you reinvest it, that's $1,000 in 2 years to $29 million. That blew my mind, right? That was kind of fall off the chair money. And so what I loved about this website is that they show you how that works, right? So the first day you got $1,000. If you get 2%, that's $20. So at the end of the day, you would have 1,020. And then the next day, if you can get 2% on 1,020, it's $20.40. And so at the end of that day, you'd have 1,040.40 cents. And then the next day, you start with 1,040.40 cents, and you could get 2% of that. It's $20.81 that you would earn, and it would result in you having $1,061.21. And that pattern kind of goes on and on and on and on every day. It's a fairly simple pattern. And at day 260, we could see that if we kept doing that over and over and over, eventually we're earning like $3,376 a day. And that's how it compounds into 172,000. And if you start there and go for another year, the numbers start getting even higher in terms of the 2% earnings. And you can see the balance is just, growing incredibly till at the end of that, you end up with $29 million. If you could safely compound 2% a day for 2 years, you would end up mathematically with $29 million. So suddenly this became very interesting to me because there was no other thing that I could imagine putting $1,000 into that would in any way, shape, or form turn into $29 million in 2 years. Like Michael. You're on mute.
Were you sharing screens showing those sums that you were just speaking of?
Oh, you can't see my screen?
No.
You just have Albert Einstein up.
Oh, wow.
Hit share screen and pick the screen that you want.
Well, I'm going to do it all over again. Thank you for telling me that, because I thought, you know what, I didn't switch to share. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, so you see the compound daily org calculator.
Right.
Right. So the first thing I did was this, and let me just do it really quickly for the sake of the recording. I did $1,000 at 2%, 260 days, which is a year of business days, 100% reinvesting, nothing on the weekends. And when I hit calculate now, Will had estimated that it'd be $1 million, I think. And so we see that we got 171,000. Okay. So that was that. And I said, like, that's really impressive. And I saw the formula here in the table where, if you had 1,000 and you were able to make 2%, that would be $20 the first day, which at the end of that day, you'd have 1,020. Then the next day, if you start with 1,020 and you get 2%, it's $20.40 that you earn, right? And you end up with 1,040 and 40 cents. And then the next day, if you start with that and you get 2%, it's $20.81. And that keeps going on and on and on and on and on. That same pattern, just getting 2% a day on whatever you ended up with the prior day until you get 172,000. So that was impressive. I don't remember what I estimated the $1,000 to turn into when I first did it, but I kind of just did it. But then I said, okay, what if I could safely compound for 2 years? And when I did that, and I saw $29 million, that's when I got excited, because using the same formula that they laid out in the schedule, it showed, exactly how that would happen. And this is where I was scrolling through down to day 260. And you see the 172, 203. And then if you just keep going from that point and you keep applying that same routine of whatever money you ended up with the day before, you start the next day with that balance and you get 2%. If that was magically possible somehow, you would end up with $29 million. And this is what so thank you for bringing me back to that and letting me know that I wasn't showing my screen, because this was the thing that really blew my mind, because I couldn't imagine in all of my life working in investment banks, the whole 9 yards, there was nothing that I could think about as a vehicle that I could put $1,000 into that would in any way, shape, or form turn into $29 million in 2 years. And I would ask if, anybody on this call is aware of anything that could potentially do that. Nobody, right?
Nope.
So that was crazy. Now here's what I did after that. I went back to 1 year. I said, okay, let's go back to 1 year. And I said, what if I could get 3% interest, not 2%? Like, what would 1 more percent do if it was possible to get 3% instead of 2%. Now, I'm going to ask Will, since you came up with the good guess before, what is $1,000 at 3% for 1 year? What do you think that turns into?
Since I was off before, if it's 172, I would guess 300,000.
Oh, so all right. So you think, wait a minute. No, I gotta challenge you on that.
You said it's now it went from 2 to 3% now, right?
Yeah, I
And
went from 2 to 3%, and you went from $1 million down to 300,000.
well, because I got corrected because of the 2%, right? So I gotta take the new
Okay.
adjusted number.
Well, let's take the 300,000, but watch this. 2.1 million.
So now I'm off by the other side.
Yeah.
I shouldn't play the price right.
That's what I was saying, that you were actually closer before, but you would probably more on the 2.5% number instead of 2. So the bottom line is that if you could get 3% consistently, that would in 1 year turn $1,000 into $2.1 million.
Yep.
Again,
Okay.
there's nothing that I could think of that could do that. Now, here's the last thing that I did, and I'm going to just end it here. But imagine you can get 3% for 2 years. Now, here's the magic number.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a wow number.
That's a wow number, and I'm not going to hold you in suspense. That's $4.7 billion. $4,735,000,000. What is it? 433,340. In 2 years, if you could safely compound $1,000 at 3% interest a day, and you could consistently get that, you can be a billionaire. Now, that goes over probably most people's head, but it's the same process, right? $1,000, 3%, $30. So you got 1,030, then 2% of that, 3% of that is $30.90 the next day. And you see what that turns into, then 3% of that is $31.83. So then you end up with 1,092. And you know what? The beat just goes on. And in 260 days, somewhere down here, I'm just going to scroll down to 260. You see the 2.1 million that we talked about. And if you had the guts to leave that money in there, and the system that could potentially compound at 3% a day, if you could consistently do that, you would end up with $4.7 billion, right? So whether or not that's possible, whether you believe it's possible, whether it's something that you could even imagine yourself doing doesn't matter. The point is that is the power of compounding. Okay, that you can take a relatively small amount of money, if you could safely compound it, you could turn it into a whole lot more money. Okay, that's the point of this. Whether it's $1,000 turning into 100,000, or $1,000 turning into $1 million, it kind of is irrelevant. It's the point of it is that with compounding, if you could truly harness the power of it, you can turn a small amount of money into a lot more money. And that's what I took away from this. And I've been doing a lot more, sort of dabbling with that calculator. But now I understand what Albert Einstein is talking about, because he said, if you understand the power of compounding, and you understand it to the degree that you know how that calculation works, then it's possible that you could put yourself into a position where you could come up with a strategy for implementing that power of compounding, for harnessing that power of compounding, and put yourself in a position where you can earn it. And so that's, as a software developer, that became my quest. Like, that became the problem to solve. How do I build a system that could utilize the power of compounding to safely compound my money into, a greater sum than I started with? Like, that was the problem. So now Let's talk about Forex trading for a second. Now, I know probably everybody on this call, well, I know Elle, Michael, and James have had experience with with Forex trading. Will, have you ever had any experience with
Nope, that's the only area I haven't touched it.
Okay, but you understand what Forex trading is.
Yep,
right?
yep.
It's trading one fiat currency for another. And as we know from our investment banking background, there are business reasons why Forex must exist. It's not like the stock market. It's part of the infrastructure of the global economy where value is being exchanged between countries. And in order to facilitate those exchanges, it's necessary to convert currencies from one to the other, whether that's the United States having to pay interest on treasury bonds that it sold to Japan and having to make an interest payment so that whether it's Apple who has people in China building computers for them or other types of devices, and they have to pay payroll in Chinese yuan. So they need to convert US dollars to Chinese yuan in order to make those payments. So there are fundamental business reasons why the Forex market exists. But because of this exchange rate arbitrage that's happening, there are tons of people just trade Forex, right? As a way to make money. In this context, though, what is Forex trading? And this is what I came up with. Forex trading is a way to harness the power of compounding using a $6.6 trillion ocean of money. Okay, that's what Forex trading is to me. In other words, when we talk about DreamLegacyFx, FX indicates that there's a Forex trading aspect to this. However, the purpose of it is not to become some kind of super duper Forex trader. The purpose of it is to harness the power of compounding. And that's what we're going to talk about going forward. But let me just pause. Any questions from this up to this point?
Nope, I'm clear.
Great. So how do we do this? Well, I realized that it's actually quite simple to put a system in place that could utilize Forex trading as a way to harness the power of compounding. And, just in the course of thinking about this, I realized that all you really needed was a brokerage account that gave you access to the Forex market so that you could actually do trading in the Forex market. And for me, rather than sitting in front of my computer trying to figure out how to do Forex trading, I went on the search for software that would be able to do that for me. And I have to tell you that all throughout from the beginning of 2020, like literally January until now, I've been working with different software in order to find one that could effectively do Forex trading. And when I first started out on this journey, I had a company that I was working with who did the Forex trading for you. They used software that I knew nothing about, but you gave them money and they kind of did it for you and you earned money. That was cool. But then I wanted to kind of go deeper into it. So I started looking into other companies that had software that I could potentially use to implement this model. And I did find some. And guess what? I made some money and I lost money because the software didn't work the way I was hoping and I didn't understand certain things. And so I was going on this journey all throughout the year. And it was an investment in my education. The money that I spent and the money that I invested and the money that I actually lost was, for me, an investment in educating myself about the different software that's out there and what is really important to have in the software in order to effectively and to safely use it for this purpose of harnessing the power of compounding. And so this is the basic model, though, that is needed. A brokerage account that gives you access to the Forex market and some trading software, some Forex trading software that really, really works. And if you delve into this pattern a little deeper, like if we just peel the onion back, what this looks like is this. So here's the core process. Number one, you start with opening up a brokerage account and putting an initial deposit of your money into that account. Number two, you got to get a copy of the software and you have to connect it, to your account so that you set it up so it trades on your behalf and it applies its trading algorithms in figuring out which trades to do to profitably trade in your account. And when it decides on a trade to do, it basically utilizes the services of the broker to execute that trade. And so now 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, this software is using the money in your account and it's trading for you in the Forex market, which happens to run 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. Okay, there are 4 sessions. It starts in Sydney, Australia, then it flips over to Tokyo, flips around to London, and then to New York. And that cycle keeps going on and on and on. And it's possible to trade 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. And so when you have software, a human being can't stay awake 24 hours a day, 5 days a week to do trading. And they're certainly not going to be sitting in front of your computer trying to do that. And so utilizing software, though, it puts you in a whole nother realm because now you can have the software that's doing that for you. And the way it works is as it profitably trades in your account, and it's not 100% profitable. There's profits and losses. The software that we happen to be using has about a 70% or more success rate in profitably trading. So it wins a whole lot more than it loses. And where it does lose, it has compensating factors in there for that. But nevertheless, as it trades and the profits get added to your balance grows. And then there's functionality in this software that is called compounding, where as it sees your balance growing, it actually realizes that it can do a slightly bigger trade, like it can utilize that extra money to go after more profits. So it does a slightly larger trade as your balance grows, and that just keeps happening over and over and over. And as long as it does that, you're able to make money. You can spend some time learning more about Forex, which is what I certainly did. And more importantly, since this thing is running for you, generating, money for you using the power of compounding, you have more time, okay? Because this is passively running for you in the background. And this, believe it or not, as simple as it might seem, is all that you need to harness the power of compounding. And what makes this all work, the centerpiece of this whole thing, is the software, right? If you can find the right software, that's what makes it work. Because there are many different brokers out there. You can get a brokerage account, it's free, that's not the problem. But having the software is the key. And so that's at the core of what's happening within DreamLegacyFx. I did eventually find the software. And because I'm a software developer, I've actually been able to get close to the owners of the company that produced the software and to work with them closely to help, improve the software. And so I'm really, really excited now to have that relationship with them, but to also have the use of this software, which has been producing some incredible results, and which I'm looking forward to, doing that in 2021. So let me just pause here for a second. Any questions on this?
Yeah, so Dave, you said the brokerage account. Is it a specific brokerage account that has to be, like it could be TD Ameritrade, the Schwab, or E-Trade? Is it anything that limits you, or you said you can hook those up to your software program?
So it has to be. So I don't know if TD Ameritrade. I know they do securities trading, but I'm not sure if they're connected to the Forex market and whether they have access to liquidity to be able to execute trades in the Forex market, but there are many brokers out there. And in my search for the right broker and the right software, I came upon a broker called LQDFX, and they're a great broker because they do straight through processing, okay, and they have very low spreads for the currency pairs, but more importantly, as we'll see a little bit later, they have an excellent affiliate marketing program that I just love. So I selected LQDFX, but there are many different Forex brokers out there that is possible to use. For DreamLegacyFx, I use LQDFX as the broker, and I use the software from a company called Elevated FX, okay? And putting those two things together, I was able to dial in a way of utilizing the software with the brokerage account that not only enables anyone to effectively do Forex trading, but also to earn money from additional income streams that are provided from both companies, right? So it's the combination. What makes DreamLegacyFx so powerful, which we're going to see, is that not only can you benefit from the power of compounding just by trading in the Forex world through this process, but these companies also have affiliate programs that when you activate those affiliate streams, it actually provides additional ways. So you can have multiple streams of income utilizing one process, DreamLegacyFX, right? And that's what makes this powerful. So I'm not sure about TD Ameritrade and those companies, but you have to look for a Forex broker. But for the sake of DreamLegacyFX, you don't have to do that. Like it's kind of like if you just implement it the way this is set up, you're done, right?
Thank you.
You don't need anything else. So let's continue with the story. So I was talking about the affiliate income streams. So remember, there's only really two parties to this: the broker and the software company. And it just so happens that they have affiliate programs that are also very much part of the income streams that are generated from DreamLegacyFX. Now, we saw the first way is through compounding your income using Forex trading. So that's what this orange bubble is. We just finished talking about that. Now we're going to talk about these other three bubbles, two of which are related to the broker. So what is the source of affiliate income from the broker? The broker charges a fee for executing the trades in your account. The software is using its algorithms to figure out what trade to do, and it forms an order, which is a request that goes to the broker, and the broker receives that request and then formulates that into an executed trade that it puts into the market, okay? So the broker is executing the trade. And when it does that, that's the service it's providing, and they charge a small fee for doing that. Depending on the size of the trade, it could be like 30 cents. It could be 70 cents. It could be $1. It could be $10. It depends on the size of the trade that you're doing. They charge a percentage of that. And so every time the software figures out a trade to do, it sends a request to the broker's computer, right? Because this is straight through processing. There's no human beings involved in this at all. So a message goes to the broker's computer. The broker's computer receives that, formulates that into a trade execution. And when it executes that trade, it puts the trade out in the market and assigns a fee to that trade. And what happens is before I even go there, when that trade closes, that's when the fee is assessed. So they will charge a fee, let's say it's 50 cents for that executing that trade. And that's part of the P&L of the trade. So you're gonna do a trade for, let's just say that'll earn you $10 and they charge you 50 cents for that. So you may end up with $9.50. Okay, so the fee for executing the trade is part of the profit and loss of the trade. And you end up with the net, which is, net of the fees. So when the broker charges that fee, they actually have 2 levels to their affiliate program. And on level 1, which is where you refer someone directly to that broker, they actually pay you 70% of whatever they charged in a fee. So if they charged $1 in fees for executing that trade, you would make 70 cents out of that dollar, okay? And that's for people who you directly refer to the broker. Now, what does that mean? It means if somebody sees you using DreamLegacyFx in order to make money, and they say, well, how can I do that? And you just say, okay, well, just go over to this broker and open up an account and go to this software company and get the software over there. As soon as you do that, you're now referring a new customer to the broker who starts trading using software, and every single trade that executes in that person's account for themselves, you're making 70 cents on a dollar, right? So that's a powerful, powerful income stream. And on level 2, which means if you refer somebody and that person refers somebody else, you also can earn 15% of that second level person. It doesn't go any further than that. There's no multi-level marketing concept here, right? You're not making money off of people. You're making money because you referred someone to a broker's business, and as a reward for doing that, they pay you a portion of the fees that they charge, because otherwise they would have to pay for advertising and all kind of other methods to attract new clients. So that's what it is. Now, what's important about the broker fees is that the broker commissions are compounding. What does that mean? It means that if you're doing a small trade in your account where the broker charges 50 cents, okay, you're going to make 70% of 50 cents. But as your balance grows and the software starts doing larger and larger trading, the broker is charging more and more fees, right? That fee will go from 50 cents to $1 to $1.50 to $2. And as that happens, you're making 70% of that increasing commission. So as the compounding in the account is occurring, the compounding of your commissions from the broker is also occurring, right? Which is very, very powerful. I haven't seen anything like that in all of the searching that I did throughout the year. Now, here's the other thing that was interesting, that because the broker is providing a service, they're not really connected to whether or not your trade is a profit or a loss. So they provided a service which was executing a trade request for you. They get paid for that regardless of whether your trade was profitable or not. And what that means is that your commissions from the broker are paid to you regardless of the outcome of any trading that occurs, right? Which is another important thing to realize. Now, the last way that income is earned is from the software provider. And the software provider also has an affiliate program, but it's not compounding. It's a fixed subscription that gets paid to utilize the software every month. And every person that is utilizing this software has to pay that subscription. Now, up until the end of last year, the way this is working is that people were getting a subscription to the software. They were getting their own virtual private server, and they were running this process within their own machine, right? Within like their own private sandbox. The difference with DreamLegacyFx is that this is a master account. This is a pooled account, to where now, instead of everybody running their own instance of the software and having to manage the software and manage the VPS and know how to set it up and know how to pick currency pairs, I've evolved this strategy to utilize some technology that LQDFX has, which other brokers might have, but doesn't work the way it works at LQDFX. So they have something called PAM technology, which is percentage allocation management module. That's what PAM stands for. Essentially what it is a way to have a pooled account, which I'm going to illustrate for you a little later. And there's only one instance of the software that's running on the pool, but all the results are allocated to everybody's investor account. And because of that structure, the way it works, I am getting 100% of the software commissions, but the way that I'm managing that process is that whoever referred that individual, I'm splitting the software commissions with that person. All right. So if I referred John and John referred Bob, when Bob signs up, Bob is signing up under Dream Legacy, and I'm getting 100% of that software fixed commission, but I'm splitting it with John, 50-50. Okay, so we're sharing in that. And that's the way that I'm funding all of the work that I'm doing to support and to run DreamLegacyFx. So I'm going to just pause here very quickly. Any questions on that? Okay, so now, what is DreamLegacyFx then? At the end of the day, like, what is it? DreamLegacyFx is effectively a way to have done for you Forex trading. So instead of having people have their own copy of the software with their own VPS machine, and they're setting it up and configuring it and managing it and running it and only having their own money, right, being traded, DreamLegacyFx is a master account strategy where the same software is being utilized, and instead of a person sort of doing trades on behalf of other people as if it was a hedge fund of some type, the software is doing the trading in everyone's investor account. And this structure is effectively an enterprise model for doing Forex trading, because now you can bring an unlimited number of people onto the master account trading platform. And not only does it relieve everyone of having to deal with all the technology, but it actually provides some other features that we're going to talk about here as well. So while it's running in a master account model, it's the same algorithmic trading software that's being used if you were running it on your own, okay? Except it has my special sauce and the settings and things that I've worked out, right, to make sure that that trading is effective. The other thing that you get with this that you don't get when you run the software yourself is something called equity protection. And I have to just talk for a second about this, because what equity protection is essentially a stop loss that says, if I have trades in my account, and let's just say I'm in a sell position, but the market is moving against my trades, right? What happens is the margin in your account gets drawn down because the market is moving against your position. And if you didn't have some way to get out of those trades, you could blow your account. You can lose all of your money. And guess what? Ask me how I know that. Because that happened to me. That happened
to you.
Right?
How did you know that?
Once, okay? And it happened to other people that I know, okay? So that does happen if you don't set a threshold for the maximum amount of drawdown in your account that you will allow before you get out of the trades. So Alpha, the software that we're using, has an equity protection feature. And when I first started using it, I didn't understand the equity protection feature. I didn't understand how it worked. I was still learning. And so I didn't have this turned on, and I was successfully compounding. And then that one day, I actually grew my account over 600%, okay? And that one fatal day, when it was November 9th, when the market moved against my position, I lost all of my gains. And it was only because I did not have equity protection turned on. And other times, when earlier in the year, when I was using this software, it was a different event. I didn't have equity protection turned on. I didn't even understand equity protection at the time. I lost all of my money again because of a similar problem. There were other things that were wrong, but not having equity protection became a big problem. So the difference with Dream Legacy FX and anybody running this software on their own is this. When you're running in your account, if you have $1,000 in your account and you're trading and you say, okay, I'm going to allocate 20% for equity protection, you're allocating $200. So the question is, can the market move against you to the tune of $200? And the answer to that is yes. Okay, it's yes. And so you might be compounding for a while. And then if the market just moves against you $200, boom, you're going to take a $200 loss, which could effectively wipe out gains that you made over the last month or the last couple of weeks. And in fact, you know, there are people on this call who have experienced that. And I'm going to call on Michael because Michael, we've been having a lot of dialogue, and I know I was telling you, like, your account is looking really, really good, right? And then what happened?
The market moved against me and my gains evaporated.
Right. Now, you didn't lose all your money because you set that 20% threshold.
That's correct.
Right. But you did, you know, gain, and then boom, equity protection and lost those gains. So it's like you took 10 steps forward and 10 steps back. And then, you know, you keep doing that over and over. That's not a successful way to compound. Like, you'll never reach that $172,000 level because you keep going forward and then going back, going forward, going back. And that was a problem that needed to be solved in the way that the solution I came up with that was having the money pooled. Now, why is that different? Is because if the 4 or 5 of us on this call pooled our money, and let's just say I had 10,000 and Will, you had 10,000, and Michael, you had 10,000, and James, you had, you know, 20,000, right? That's like $50,000 now that's in the pool. And when we set 20% as the equity protection level, it's 20% of 50,000 instead of 20% of just the money I have. So that now, you know, that $10,000 becomes the equity protection level. And the fact is that the market, you know, if you're setting your trading lot size correctly, will never ever hit that $10,000 level. Okay. And that's the whole principle, that when you have pooled resources, you now have more money that's available for equity protection, and you can tune the size of your trading such that you stay well below that equity protection threshold, and it protects your compounding for the long term. And that's the experience that we've been having. And so the equity protection feature I could talk about for a long time because it's something near and dear to my heart and my nervous system. But the reality is that with Dream Legacy FX, we've greatly mitigated the risk of, you know, having equity protection events wipe out the gains that we, you know, fought so hard for over the long term. So that's why Dream Legacy FX supports long-term compounding, because you're able to compound and never hit that equity protection level because you have so much equity protection headroom there. Now, it's also, Dream Legacy is an automated way of making your money grow because it's using the software and you don't have to do it because it's done for you. And this way, if you just drop your money into an investor account and attach it to the master account, you're now making your money grow in a very automated way. And lastly, Dream Legacy FX, the real benefit here is that it's easy to start because there's a lot of flexibility on investment levels. You don't have to start with $10,000. You could start with, you know, $200. You could start with less than that if you really wanted, you know, you just wanted to test it. But, you know, a meaningful investment to start with is about $1,000, right? Because that's how you can turn that into something very quickly. Whereas if you start with a smaller amount than that, it'll compound, but it's just going to take a it's going to take a longer time. And so again, let me pause here. Is there any questions about this? I know there's more we could talk about, but
Sounds very reasonable.
okay, great. Now,
Excited.
go ahead, Michael.
No, I'm just James. I'm just saying we're excited.
Oh, okay, great. Because there's so much more we could talk about with this, but I'm going to keep it here just so that we can get through this. Now, here's something else that I think is very important to the themes and is also very much a part of Dream Legacy FX. And I call it the roadmap to wealth. And there are essentially these milestones that I believe, if a person is going to do this, they should set themselves up to think in this way. The number one thing is to get to the point where Dream Legacy is paying for itself. And here's what that means. If I can share my screen for a second, I'm going to go back to the compound calculator. Okay. Let's imagine that you started with $500. Okay. And let's just say we had this tuned to do 2% a day for what is a business month. That turns into $500 compounded for a month produces $757 or a profit of $257. Okay. $500, a profit of $257 at the end of the month. Why is that important? Because if I go back to my slide here, basically to run Dream Legacy FX for one account, you know how much it costs? $125 a month. That's what the software subscription is. And there's no other costs. It's just that cost of paying for the software each month. So if you had $500 in your account and you're able to generate $257, essentially you could take $125 and pay for the next month of the software. And in 1 month, Dream Legacy FX paying for itself, right? That's extremely powerful. So now you've primed the engine and you started this machine, and with as little as $500 even, and you could get to the point where your Dream Legacy FX platform is self-funding the first month. That's the first goal, is to get to that point where it's paying for itself. The second goal is what I call reducing your risk to zero. And what does that mean? If you put in $500, you want to compound. Yeah, you're paying your monthly fee, but you want to get to the point where you can withdraw $500 and put it back in the bank. And now you're trading with your profits, or you're trading with house money. So now your risk is virtually zero, right? Because you're trading with money that you won, that you've earned, instead of the money that you took out of your pocket. So for me, the first stage is to get to the point where it's self-funding, which you could do that very easily the first month. The second level would be to take your earnings, some of your profits out, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, to take them out and just recoup your initial investment. So now you're compounding with profits. That's the second level. The third level is to produce those results from your own trading and just to be able to share it with other people, right? Like, hey, this is something that I'm doing. And people might see you, getting certain things or doing certain things, or they see, you're just having a conversation with someone and say, yeah, I started doing this Forex trading thing, and here's the results that I'm getting. And this is like, I'm really enjoying this. And people say, oh yeah, really? Like, what is that? And they want to see it. And so you invite them to the Facebook group. They come to an info session. They hear this story and they see examples of the results in the first Facebook group and whatnot. And if they decide to do it, and they decide to do it for themselves, and you sign them up as an affiliate, you're going to now start making the 70% commissions on all of the trading happening in their account. And you're going to be getting a split of the software commissions. So that affiliate income is now adding to your trading income, right? So to me, once you're able to produce results and you're able to share those results with others, it gives you a way to expand your affiliate income. And then the other thing I would say, this is just kind of like housekeeping, you know, most of us on this call may not even have debts, but if you have a mortgage or if you have a car payment or you have other debts where compounding is working against you, where you're paying compounded interest, it would make sense to take some of your profits and pay that stuff off to short circuit, right, negative compounding in your life so that compounding is just working in your favor in your life, right? To me, that's like a very important point to reach as well. And then, you know, the last thing that I would say is, you know, use your weekly wins, right? The profits that you're making each week to expand your wealth. Maybe you want to invest in cryptocurrencies, or maybe you want to invest in real estate, or maybe you know, there's some securities or some other businesses or things that you want to invest in. Like diversify your investing portfolio. Use the FX trading as a way to generate income that you can then funnel into other things to begin to, you know, expand your wealth. And you're using both the trading income as well as the affiliate income as a basis for supporting your lifestyle and expanding your wealth. So this is something that I kind of came to as an important principle, because last year, what I was doing and what many people were doing was they put money into an account and it was compounding. And we're compounding, like, I don't know, for like, we're thinking, oh, I'm going to leave the money in there for a year. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to have like $170,000 or $1 million. And then I'll take it out and do something with it. And when I went into that compounding, then lost, right, all my gains and lost my money, I was like, you know something? Later, for that pot of gold mentality, as I'm compounding each week or every 2 weeks or every month, I'm going to start taking that money out and using it. I'm still going to leave money in there so my account continues to grow, but I'm going to use those profits as I'm earning them, instead of trying to save up to create a pot of gold that one day I'm going to use. I think that was a major paradigm shift, right? To use your money as you're earning it and not just leave it there all at risk, as though nothing could ever possibly happen to take, you know, for you to lose that money in a market that you don't control, right? So, you know, as part of this is more like a principle, a discipline that I believe everyone should apply to some extent or to the fullest extent as part of DreamLegacyFx. Like, don't just leave your money in there forever and think that, you know, it's just going to grow. Like, maybe it'll turn into $4.7 billion in 2 years. But you know what? If that took 5 years or 10 years, I'd be perfectly okay, right? If I can use my money as I'm earning it. So
yeah, the key is you have to be in it to win it. You gotta get involved. Yeah, again, I think that this is all this all resonates with me, Dave. You know my background and stuff. So
so this is really the bulk of what I had prepared. However, there's one other slide that I did have, which is Bitcoin, because there is some Bitcoin involved here. And essentially, the Bitcoin interaction here is not for trading. There's no trading of Bitcoin in DreamLegacyFx. It's all trading currencies like, you know, Japanese yen, British pounds, Hong Kong dollars, you know, Philippine pesos, like whatever currency pairs you pick. You're trading fiat currency. There's no Bitcoin. However, there is Bitcoin involved because both the broker as well as the software company prefer that you interact with them, meaning make deposits or withdrawals with the broker, as you see in this picture, using Bitcoin. And the software subscription is actually paid using Bitcoin as well. And so, you know, you need to have some Bitcoin or cryptocurrency understanding and accounts in place. There's an exchange which connects to your bank that lets you buy and sell. So you can purchase the crypto, and then once you get it, you can send it to make your deposit, or you can withdraw from your brokerage account. They send you Bitcoin. You can either hold it as Bitcoin, or you could sell it and then put it back in your bank as US dollars, or you could withdraw it as Bitcoin from your account and use that Bitcoin to pay your software subscription. But there's this aspect of using Bitcoin as a way of transferring the money digitally, right, between DreamLegacyFx and other counterparties that you have to interact with, which in this case, it's only the software company and the brokerage account. So there is this Bitcoin aspect to it. It's not that big a deal. I mean, there are so many apps. You can even use Cash App now to buy Bitcoin. PayPal is
Yep.
Bitcoin. So, coming this year, even right now, there are so many different ways that you can use to interact with Bitcoin that I think that's going to become very commoditized. And most people will be able to do that. But that's really the whole story. And I just wanted to stop the share because, and if there were questions, hold on a second. How do I get back to the meeting? Because I'm still sharing my screen, right? Did I end the share?
No, we're not seeing it anymore. Just it's about the gallery view.
Okay, good. So, that's really what DreamLegacyFx is all about. It's a enterprise platform for Forex trading, where it's completely done for you. And essentially, I am the technology manager that's hosting the instance of the software that's being run. And I have very deep relationships with ElevatedFX, the software provider, and I'm strategizing with them on features that are being built into it. There's a new version of the software coming out. Actually should have dropped already, but if it hasn't dropped, it's going to drop, probably next week, version 4.7. And I've been testing that the whole month of December, and I love it. I love the features of it. I'm not going to go into what they are now, but it's an improvement over version 4.5 for sure. And it's something that I'm looking to transition to, but I want to see it running live in a normal market time before doing that. So that's what that is. Any final questions before we end?
So Dave, so do you just choose the currencies? If I want to trade in certain currencies, that's what they count. That's what I would pick. I would pick the currencies I want to trade in.
So that's a great question. With DreamLegacyFX, okay, I've actually picked 4 currency pairs that I'm using to trade that, and the reason for that is because my target is to earn 1 to 3% a day. So I picked the currency pairs, I picked the lot size, I have key performance indicators that I'm managing to understand equity protection, utilization, and headroom. There's a lot of factors that's going into how DreamLegacyFX is set up. So if somebody wanted to trade, have it done for them, then no, you wouldn't have the flexibility to pick your own currency pairs because there's only one set that's running for everybody. However, if you really were passionate about that, there's always the option of running your own VPS. And there are plenty of people, there are hundreds of people that are doing that, and you're free to do whatever you want to do. Pick currency pairs, you could monkey around with the settings of the software, you could, to me, that's the old way. Even my account is attached to DreamLegacyFX.
Got it. Thank you.
So yeah, yes, it is possible to pick your own currency pairs, but with DreamLegacyFX, it's all standardized, right? So there's no need to do that.
Okay, I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, Dave, this is a question that everybody else might find interesting. You can actually run 2 accounts in DreamLegacy. My plan is to run an account for long-term and then a separate account for periodic withdrawals.
Okay. Yes, you can absolutely do that. In fact, you can have as many accounts as you want with DreamLegacyFX as you could with your own VPS. You just have to have a license for each account that you have. Now, and as you said, you can have accounts for different purposes. Like you may want to save up for a certain purpose. I don't know. And you, like you said, you can have a long-term account and where you just put a certain amount of money in there and you let it compound, you don't withdraw. And then you can have another account that you do monthly withdrawals from. That was my pattern up until now, where I'm kind of like thinking for myself. I basically got one account, one type of account where I'm going to be taking some of my money out on a periodic basis. Not all of it. I want it to continue to compound. So I might take out 20% or 30% or 50% of it and leave 50% so that the account continues to grow. But I'm also leveraging it because perhaps unlike other people, I still have some things that I want to pay off. I want to pay off my mortgage, you know, so I'm going to be using my account to withdraw from, but there's absolutely nothing at all wrong with having two accounts or multiple accounts and using them just as you said, Michael. Yeah, I think it is a good idea to have one perhaps for long-term and one for monthly income. But I kind of settled down on just saying, you know what, I'm going to compound. I'm going to use my money as I'm making it, and I'm going to continue to compound and just, you know, because I want to put money in Bitcoin and other things that are surging right now as well. So, but you're right, you can have accounts for multiple reasons. And there's no limit to the number of accounts that you can.
I was going to say, you could have like 100 accounts, right? You could have like 100.
If you wanted to, you could. And this is not the whole story. This is just fundamentally what DreamLegacyFx is. But there's a whole set of other programs that that I'm working on with other people, just thinking about on how we can leverage compounding in unique ways to both expand our affiliate income and also to help to dramatically like expand the compounding that's happening in an individual's account. There's some other things that can be done that, you know, once there's enough of a community in DreamLegacyFx, you know, we're going to be introducing some other things that we can do to explode our income.
Thanks, Dave. It was good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you for joining. I think, what time is it? We've been for like an hour and a half. So we're just about at the mark that I had planned. And this is recorded. I am going to save this and post it in the Facebook group. And I will say, if there are people that you think just may be interested in this or interested in having an alternative way to make money, I would say just invite them to the Facebook group. And, you know, maybe they'll join and have join an information session or choose to look at the recording, however they do that, just to get some context. But let me just explain the purpose of the Facebook group. It is going to become the place where we publish the results that we're getting from using this strategy. I'm going to be publishing weekly results of how DreamLegacyFx as a platform itself is growing. Right now, we have about almost $65,000 under management, and my expectation is by somewhere around the end of January, that's going to go over $100,000. And I don't have a top limit on how big it's, you know, I want it to get or anything like that. It's really all about people getting value from it. But as it grows and as it increases, it gives, I mean, imagine, right? $65,000 and somebody joins with $500. If they set their own equity protection level for $500, what is that going to be? Like $100. Like, that's not any equity protection at all. But if they drop $500 into DreamLegacyFx and we're running with $65,000 at 20%, right? You're talking like $12,000, $13,000 of equity protection dollars now that person is getting with their $500, right? You know, you got to think about that. Like, this is very powerful. So, I have another meeting I have to jump onto right now. But it's been a pleasure having you all here, and thanks for the engagement and the questions. And I'm gonna post this in the Facebook group, but yeah, if you know people, invite them to the group, because that's when they're gonna see how people are utilizing their money, how much money they're actually making. You know, we're gonna be posting results of all of this there so that people can see this is real. This is not a joke.
Yeah, thanks for inviting. I just saw it this morning. I'm not on Facebook a lot. I saw this, and I'm glad I come. I know we've been talking about this concept, and I'm all on this. So I'll talk to you Monday to get started.
Okay, excellent. Well, excellent. And thanks, Michael and James, for your engagement. I really appreciate it. And we'll be having more sessions like this, but even some other things that, you know, is in the works. So thank you all, and have
All right.
a great night.
Stay safe. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, take care now.
No-
Bye.